Okay, there was a proposed law. It's one of those where it's in discussion. There's no like vote on it tomorrow. It's sort of in discussion and in several states and possibly at the federal level. Should family members and intimate partners have the right to confiscate guns? Now, if these proposed laws were in effect in any state or the federal level, a family member would have the right to tell the judge or the sheriff, whoever is responsible for it, confiscate this person's guns because, my boyfriend punched me in the face. Well, if your boyfriend punches you in the face, it's domestic violence and it's an automatic prosecution anyway, period. But, my nephew has guns and he walks around naked and talks to himself, or my mother has a gun and she has Alzheimer's disease. Okay, if your friends, relatives, family believe you are unfit for a gun, they can file a report and have the guns confiscated. Now, this is supported by a lot of gun control groups, obviously, but considering all the shit that they do, whether or not it's a good law, they have become irrelevant because remember Michael Bloomberg with the two terrorists talking, and the translation said in America you can go and buy a machine gun for $200 at a gun show without a background. And remember the guy with the shotgun? He's been around guns his whole life. He believes in background checks. If you're around guns your whole life, you should know there's a background check anyway. And why is your finger on the trigger? Why is the bolt closed? Why are the kids running around the background? Why are you not looking at the muzzle? Did you check this? You know what I mean? So, and it should be a felony if you have a pistol grip. You don't need more than 6 than 7 rounds in the mag. Okay, so they are irrelevant. And if the good law does come along, the fact that they support it means nothing, because it's like Aesop said in The Boy Who Cried Wolf: no one believes a liar even when he's telling the truth. Now, in theory, I think this is a good idea. And before you give me the death threats, allow me to explain. Every single solitary time, without any exception whatsoever, period, there has been a mass shooting in this fucking country, or a mass bombing, or a mass stabbing, or a mass whatever the fuck you want to call it. Someone has always come out of the woodworks. It's been the teacher, it's been the parent, it's been the cousin, it's been the boyfriend, the girlfriend. I knew they were gonna do it. They were acting so fucking weird. They sat in their room all day and night talking about. I knew it was gonna happen, and the warning signs are ignored. So in theory, this would prevent that. Now, when you look at it logically, already on the books in all 50 states, if you see someone commit a felony, or if you see someone commit strange behavior, you go to either the judge for the DA for the felony, or the psychiatrist for the mental issue, and they can step in. That happens already. Okay? Yeah, in this country, if you call a friggin' psychiatrist and tell the psychiatrist that so-and-so has voices in their head, the psychiatrist is going to examine them, put them in the nut house, and they're not going to have their guns anymore. Because once you put a nut house involuntarily, the guns are gone anyway. So in theory, we already have certain protections anyway for this stuff. Your girlfriend hits you, you call the police on her. Yeah, your mother throws your little brother down the stairs, you call the police on her. Okay, that already happens in this country. So this would only be adding on to what already exists, but here's another issue I have. I have a police officer that I knew literally since I was born, and I obviously work for the same department now. His wife, who he's now divorced from, obviously, and he has sole custody of their twin daughters, by the way. His wife said that he threw her down a flight of stairs. Internal Affairs came in, confiscated all his guns, put him on modified duty, and did an investigation. After the investigation, he was cleared, restored to duty. He filed for full custody of the girls and got it. So, for someone who was accused of domestic violence to end up with full custody of their kids and have their guns given back to them, that's how you know she's a fuck up. Pete from the Army Channel said a long time ago, I forget what video it was in, he was out somewhere and he bought some .22 ammunition, put it in his bag, his backpack, whatever, and he went out someplace else to the store, whatever, with the ammunition in his bag, and for some reason the ammunition flew out of his bag, and there was a woman there who screamed, "Ah! Bullets! Ah!" Okay. Now, when I first got my 1911, there was a woman in the building. She was doing laundry, and she was cleaning her stove in her apartment. And you know, when you clean your stove, you gotta wash your hands real good for a couple of minutes to get all the grease off, and then do your clothes. And I suggested to her, wear latex gloves, because when I clean my guns, I wear latex gloves, and most of the shit gets on my latex glove, and my hand is mostly clean. So wear latex gloves when you clean your stove. And I was like, you know, she didn't even know you had a right to buy a gun. I was like, yeah. I said, I have a license from the county judge. My FFL is a police officer. Okay. She actually told the superintendent that she thought I was gonna come kill everybody. And I haven't seen her since then she moved out of the building. But this woman actually told the superintendent that I was gonna kill everybody. Even though I told her I had a license in the county, even though I told her my FFL was a cop, she thought I was gonna fucking kill everybody. No provocation. I didn't say anything, I didn't threaten anything, okay? Now, when I was doing my jury duty in Manhattan, we're sitting in the jury room, and there's a woman there. I would never volunteer this conversation, the woman did. She said her kids had salami knives, and her kids were sharpening the salami knives, and she's afraid they're going to cut on the salami knives, so I told her, listen, I wasn't a Boy Scout, but I had a salami knife. I got cut once or twice. I said, it's part of growing up, not a big deal. I said, I have a knife collection. It's not a big deal. No. They're boys, they'll grow up, they'll get older, they'll be fine. It's okay. If they get cut, not a big deal. Put a band on it, not a big deal. And I said, there's a guy on YouTube who was a knife guru, you know what I'm talking about, obviously. And I said, he has sharpening videos to help amateurs learn how to sharpen their knives. And I said, it's totally appropriate. He doesn't curse like I do. So, I want to give her his, whatever the hell, his YouTube. It was Jeff, obviously, I was talking about. Another woman overheard this conversation, and we're in a federal courthouse in Manhattan. We have no knives on us, obviously. And this woman told the jury clerk that we were talking about our knives. And the jury clerk pulled me aside and asked what was going on. I told her what was going on, no big deal. But the problem is, there are people that if you tell them you have a gun in the house, and if you tell them, yes, I got it from my FFL, and if you show them your fucking license, they still think you're a mass murderer. Okay? If you're talking about a fucking pocket knife in a conversation, someone who's overhearing the conversation and has nothing to do with you might hear you and freak out. Pete had his fucking .22 ammunition in his backpack. It dropped out and a woman screamed. Okay? There was a guy in Florida who had a CCW, and he must have printed or he did some stupid shit, but his gun came into plain view. And a gun control advocate punched him in the face. This is an older man. The gun control advocate punched him in the face, threw him to the ground, and started attacking his throat, which incidentally would have justified being shot. And when the gun control advocate was arrested for assault, the gun control advocate said, I assumed he was a mass murderer. You're going to commit a fucking felony because you assume a guy is a mass murderer. Okay? A guy has a gun. What if it was an undercover cop? What if it was an off-duty cop? What if it was a retired cop? Okay? If I got a guy with a gun and I punch him in the face, okay? He ends up being a cop who's on a sting, following a suspect. So now I've assaulted a police officer and obstructed an investigation. Okay? And Shannon Watts, that fucking cunt, she came out and said all gun owners should be considered mass shooters or whatever the hell, and she was standing by a bunch of armed guards and she said it. So the problem is, you always get these assholes that they'll come out and they'll spoil the whole fucking thing. Okay? Imagine if you had something like that in your family. Okay? And you're watching your favorite team on the Super Bowl. And your favorite team loses the Super Bowl. You know, like the Seattle Seahawks last Super Bowl. Okay? And you throw a plastic bowl of popcorn at the television set. Okay? What if you have an aunt that calls, 911 and gets the friggin' judge involved and says you're a maniac? Okay? These are the people that are out there. And what they'll do is they'll flood the system with false complaints. I saw my neighbor with a gun. Okay. Your neighbor's got a hunting license. He was putting his turkey gun in his truck during hunting season. Okay? So now you've tied up a police officer, tied up a judge, tied up a DA for fucking bullshit. Okay? Then that brings me to the third part of my discussion. Adam Lanza's mother knew he was a fucking nutball. And she was trying to get him put in a fucking mental institution. Yet, she gave him full access to her guns and took him shooting. Now, under normal circumstances, I have no problem with your 20-year-old adult son having access to your guns. But, in his case, if he's getting ready for the nut house, why are you allowing him near your guns? So even if the law did exist, would Adam Lanza's mother have used it to her advantage? Probably not. Also, there's a documentary called 0 Hour. It's a British documentary series. You can find it on Netflix. 0 Hour. They have a few episodes, brief series, maybe 10 episodes at most, where they talk about high-profile situations at the moment of ignition, like Columbine. Yeah, 0 Hour. Okay? Well, this documentary on Columbine played a recording from Eric Harris's father. If you get a phone call that your kid's school is being shot up, you're going to be like, oh my God, please not my kid. Nowadays, you call the cell phone probably, please God get out, please God be okay. Eric Harris's father called 911, and I heard the 911 call. You'll hear it too on the documentary. They're shooting at my son's school. I think my son is involved. Now, what did your son say or do over the past 18 years where you call and say, I think my son is the shooter? Okay. No parent just says, I think my son is the shooter. You had to see something or hear something over the past 18 years to be like, yeah, that's my son. One time when I was in high school, we had a security guard had his radio pickpocketed. And they were getting fake calls about fights. There's a fight on this floor, there's a fight on that floor. And they realized the radio was stolen. I obviously knew who stole it because I just knew who was always in trouble. But that's just a fucking prank, okay? That's just a high school prank, guy stealing your fucking radio and calling it a fake fight, okay? That's not a fucking mass murder issue, okay? So, I knew this guy was involved because of who he was. So, when you say to yourself, yeah, my son is shooting up that school, my question is, where the fuck were you 18 years ago? Like Mike Brown's parents. Our kid was a good kid. Where were you 18 years ago? Mike Brown didn't, you know what I mean? So, if your son or daughter lives in your house past 18, they don't pay rent, it's your house. You can legally go in their bedroom and search because it's your house. You can legally call a police officer to go in and search because it's your house. Okay? So the Harris family, the Cleveland family, they could have went in and be like, okay, you live in my house and don't pay rent. Let me go in your room. Man, what these fucking pipe bombs around here? Okay? The issue is, even when a pathway is available, no one uses it anyway. Okay? At least if you put a seatbelt law in place and use the seatbelt, it works, okay? If you require lifeboat drills on a boat and you use the fucking lifeboat drill, it works. But if you're not going to utilize it anyway, what difference does it make? To quote Hillary Clinton. And that's my problem. Okay? There are people that will abuse the shit out of this system and call in fake reports because their neighbor has a shotgun, their aunt has a revolver, their boyfriend target shoots on weekends. And then there are people that have genuine fucking issues that will ignore it anyway. So, if it's going to be abused by stupid people, and if the legitimate people don't use it, what good is it? Comment what you think below. Yes, it is a Mickey Mouse mug I'm drinking coffee out of. Thank you.